All right, welcome back to another episode of Into the Valley and Breathe.
Wow.
What a game.
Yeah. I literally can't believe what I've watched, to be fair. I think, to be fair, first half, we were definitely under the cosh. The percentage of possession for Ipswich was off the charts. I mean, they had at one point they were on 80% possession. We were constantly sort of defending the ball from our box, albeit they never really had anything too massively concerning.
No, they had. I think they had a few moments where they were getting in quite. I think they've got quite dangerous players in regards to like long shots and stuff like that. And I thought
Yeah.
they had a few areas where they got into quite dangerous positions, but we closed them down really well and defended incredibly well in the first half. But if you had have said the game was going to finish like it did after that first half, I thought it's going to be a long night. If we are going to get anything, I thought a draw would be an amazing result.
We said it before, didn't we? Before the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, a draw would have been an absolutely.
But even when the game was going on, I thought if we do, it will be a fluked 1-0.
Yeah.
Did not see what was kind of about to happen, and I don't know what Nathan Chase said at half time or what he promised him, but Christ, there was just something changed. And for me, one of the, especially that 20-minute period, I think the goal and then about 20 minutes after where they looked absolutely rattled.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's probably the best 20 minutes I've seen of Charlton in
A
a
long
long since I can kind of remember. It was the most excited,
Especially
I think.
away from home on a Tuesday
Yeah.
night and playing Ipswich, who are a team that are going to be right up there. They're probably one of the favourites to go straight back up. And I think so. I saw somebody posted the squad value is 113 million, and ours was 6 million. Like that's the sort of void that is between the two sides. But really, it just proves that on your day, if you can turn up, if you can perform to a level, and he set us up perfectly for an away game, really, which we knew would happen. And we know we back ourselves when we sort of put men behind the ball, and teams really do struggle to break us down. Even we've gone up a level in terms of league, but we still are more than capable of keeping teams out. I think we proved that in that first half, albeit, I mean, Akpom had that strike that hit the crossbar. And I think, to be fair, he probably should have done a bit better. I mean, he's levered it.
I don't know. I think he's caught it pretty well.
No, he's caught it well, but
Yeah.
either side of the keeper, maybe.
But it's one of those, and I think, look, for me, I think the difference was there are games where that goal goes in, and Ipswich push on, and they're the
Changes the
team,
game
and it changes the game. And the fact that those little bits and pieces were
for us.
kind of going in our favour. What I will also say from that first half is that they dominated statistically, but I think when it probably comes to the key thing, which is the chances.
Two massive ones.
There was two. We had some big chances, and I thought we rode out that first kind of 30 minutes quite well. We came into the game a little bit more, and yeah, it was really, as I say, it was really impressive. So I think probably a good time to go a little bit more in detail into that first half. So yeah, I mean that first 10 minutes, I felt quite worried.
Watching was.
Yeah, I was kind of sitting here, and I thought, do you know
Here
what?
we
This is
go.
going to be a really tough game.
Long game.
Really showing our defensive grit. Albeit, the one thing I will say is I felt still quite confident.
Yeah.
And that's a really strange feeling because I think if past we'd get dominated to that extent, and I would think, okay, when's that goal going to go in? And what I did think is, okay, if they score, potentially that's going to cause us problems because we know, and we've seen it in other games. Preston game was a great example where we were under the cosh, conceded and struggled to get back into it. But I did feel as long as we were doing what we were doing, and I thought defensively we were doing very well, I didn't feel as threatened as maybe
No,
a lot of fans maybe. I think what maybe a lot of external, not Charlton fans watching the game would feel. We were getting dominated. It's a matter of time, and I don't necessarily feel
when we're in those positions in games where we're backs to the wall, we're putting men behind the ball. We've got so many players that put their body on the line, and we know that when players try and take a shot from sort of distance, edge of the box, that sort of thing, our defenders are going to be right in the way. You saw how many blocks did we get in that game? Like crucial
unbelievable amount.
So many, and the fact is that Ipswich have a littered with talent. You got players like Jack Clark sprinting at you who are really good on the ball, quick.
I thought Akpom looked really good.
Akpom was dangerous. They got so many quality players that with pace, skill on the ball. The bench, they had like Philogene, Smodix on the bench.
So that's, I think, quite an interesting talking point. 7 changes for them coming into the game, which I thought I couldn't quite get my head round whether it was genuinely they've just got the most incredible depth that means they can do that.
Yeah.
Whether it was arrogance, I don't know. I don't maybe follow them closely enough to know which side, and it'd be very interesting to see any Ipswich fans who may be watching. I can't imagine many want to watch looking back at that game.
They won't be tuning into this.
No, but it'd be very interesting to know whether they agreed with that.
What I think personally is that it was a bit of a one that they just played obviously on the weekend, so they're rotating, albeit they played on the Friday, so they're an extra day's rest than us. But they've got a really deep quality squad, so I think that's probably part of it. But I know for a fact, like players like Kipro, who's been like a rock at the back for them, was on the bench, and I don't think it was an injury thing because he ended up coming on.
Well, I have to admit, when I saw Ipswich coming up in the next 2 games, the one I was really is Philogene. I was petrified when I seen the amount of goals he scored, the screamers,
disgusting goals.
Yeah, really, and I thought he's the kind of player who maybe historically we do maybe struggle a little bit more against and will unlock that defence, which is normally so solid. But we have seen a few times this season where that breaking through. I think it was Dobbin. I think it was for Preston who did a very similar thing. Yeah. Albeit it hasn't happened much this season, which is good. But I thought there were certain players that I was quite fearful of, and they weren't there. Albeit they did still have.
They were like I say, they're littered with quality players, and I think whoever they have on the pitch, that squad is really, really high quality. So we knew we were going to come up against quality players that are going to run at you with pace, which is exactly what happened. They had players running at us left, right and centre. And it did feel like in that first half they had a lot of space as well. Seemed to have a lot of men on the overlap. We were sort of chasing shadows a little bit, but when we chase shadows, we get there. We get those blocks in. We make those crucial tackles, headers, and we already know how well we defend our box. So they couldn't break us down. And then, like you said, in that first half, of the 2 biggest chances, I would say, were both fell to us.
We had the first one was the Tanto 1-on-1. I thought the way he took that, it reminded me. I think it really summed up the game up to that point, which was every time we got the ball, it was like, oh my God, here's the ball. We haven't seen this all game. And we look really sloppy with the ball. But I thought when Tanto got the ball, he never really seemed to get it under control. He never really seemed to get in his stride. And something in comparison to the second half, every single thing we touched looked like we were red hot. It just, I even though it was a 1-on-1, I never felt massive.
Do you know what I thought with that chance, actually? That he did incredibly well to muscle his man off the ball to actually get in that position to sprint into the goal. He did have about 2 or 3 Ipswich players sprinting him down at the end when he was just about to take the shot off, so he probably had one eye on that. It wasn't a bad effort, and I think actually it was on target. The keeper made a decent save with his leg, sort of blocked it. So, yes.
And I think it's also something probably about Tanto. It's not maybe his absolute strength, that clinical side, and I think it is something that a lot of the Stockport fans said kind of coming is that they are kind of he is still quite raw, and they're the bits that maybe he does need to improve a little bit more. Because I thought with Tanto in that game, I thought it was his opportunity, and I know it was a very, very tough first half.
Tough one to come into.
I don't know if he grabbed it with both hands.
No, I think, but again, like how many chances are you going to get in that game? Realistically, we were, like I said, majority of that first half backs to the wall. So, but what I will say is the way that he actually created that chance is exactly why he's so dangerous, because that's what he can do. Is he can use his strength, pace. We break those lines and also just bully people off the ball and create chances. So that was really encouraging to see. And then the other one obviously was Gillespie, who at first glance it looked like a bit of a mare for him. But I think you were right. I think you said to me afterwards, actually, he probably saw it incredibly late.
I think it came in with quite whip on it, and I think there was quite. It looked like the player in front might get it, and I can't remember if it was Kelman or Jones or someone. But I thought it looked like it was quite late, and then he was kind of getting his feet into play, and he looked a bit janky when he just kind of got the connection on it. Look, if that's a striker doing that, I think I'd be saying, I think he's had a bit of a mare, but. When it's your centre back who also as well, I think there was every part of that first half felt that because we were touching the ball so little, everything felt rusty. Like
Yeah.
I'd say the passing in that first half, I was getting very, very frustrated because I thought
It was
we were so under pressure, and then we were just giving the ball back at every opportunity.
or just lumping it over the top to no one.
Coventry had some of the worst passes I've seen. Bree had some really bad
Jones
ones.
just lobbing them over the top.
Yeah, nothing was working in regards to the attacking sense. But I would also give a lot of credit to Ipswich because they were very good, albeit maybe. I'm sure maybe their fans will see a maybe slight criticism that he didn't break us down a little bit more.
We just frustrated them,
Yeah.
I think. And like we've done it to many teams that have got really good quality players. We sort of reduce them down to having those pot shots from the edge of the box because they can't fully break us down. And that's what we did. And we got those crucial blocks in, as we always do. But one thing I was going to say about the Gillespie chance as well is we spoke about this last week, but that's what Bree brings. You get that one corner. Literally, I think that was our first corner of the game, or second. It was like we only had a couple in that first half. That one corner brought us probably the biggest chance of the whole half.
And what did we say in the last episode? We said that one
you need.
You might not be playing very well, but that Bree cross, and that's what's making it so difficult. No matter what performance he has, knowing he has that in that locker, as I say, it could be worth so many goals that year, so many chances, and win games.
On another day, we put that in, and we go 1-0 up in the first half. But yeah, I think we will have gone into the sort of halftime team talk. I think Jones would have been really happy with the way we sort of set up and the way we defended. Like you said, God knows what he said to them.
Well, let's move on. I mean, the second half. So,
wow.
Wow. I mean, 52nd minute, 55th minute, 64th minute. And I was in just cloud nine. I mean, let's start on the Carey goal. He is
can't do anything wrong with
he can't. And the thing is, look, I thought in the first half he still was working really hard, and that's what we said. Whether he's having a good game or bad game, and what we saw in that is, I think we've had games where we said he's had a really good whole game, and we've had games where we said, oh, he's a little bit out of the game.
Yeah.
What we saw in this was the first half kind of pretty out of it, and the second half so incredibly involved, and just showing all his best traits. And the way he picked up that ball, ran at the defender, kind of played the waiting game with him as well, just kind of really wasn't rushing it, because there's a lot of players who may have just rushed a shot, got it blocked, but he was just waiting, got that bit of space, and
the finish was
rest
real.
was history,
but also the confidence that he's playing with now. I mean, he's scoring like week in, week out, so in every game he's backing himself to get those chances and put the ball in the back of the net. And you saw, like you said, his composure to sort of like front his man up, wait until that right moment, and then drilling it low, giving the keeper no chance whatsoever to sort of get to it. Unreal. Like he is literally playing out of his skin at the moment in terms of how good he is.
No, he is, and obviously pretty involved in the second goal as well, so down on the wing, obviously, some really nice. And I thought something we saw in that second half, which I was so impressed with, was some of our passages of play,
little triangles,
and little moments where we were just retaining the possession. We played the game so smartly, and the patterns of play, but the quick passing into feet, first touch right on point, playing it round, and something that, as I say, we really struggled to do in the first half. That composure on the ball, that first goal just lit something in our bellies, and as I say, nice passage of play out to Carey on the wing, cross in, lovely little flick from Tanto, good save, and then Macca.
Bang. I was really pleased that Macca got the goal, actually, because obviously he missed that chance in the first half, so easy little header to just nudge it in the back of the net. That's his second this season, and he's only been back in the team.
And I thought so incredibly deserved, because he is one that I'll say had such a good game overall. And I think at that point, I kind of had to blink twice and was thinking, okay, they then obviously push up the other end of the pitch and they have their disallowed goal, and I think quite an interesting one, because I've looked back at it a few times, and it's
marginal, isn't it?
It's bloody tight.
It's tight,
But the other side of it is, the more I look at it, the more I think he nods it in on the line.
Yeah,
I think it's going in.
Yeah,
if he doesn't touch it, I think they're 2-1. And at 2-1, at the point that was, that could have really knocked it out. And we obviously saw the exact same happen against Sheffield Wednesday. Slightly different circumstances, but how much that could have put us on the back foot. And it was a real pivotal moment in the game.
I was going to say, with the sort of decision from the linesman, he was the man that was closest to him from that side. So usually what tends to happen is if it looks to the linesman as if they're off marginally, they give it because he's the man that you can see first.
And I think it was just about. I think it was the right decision, albeit it was very tight. But as I say, the bit that I just think a lot of Ipswich fans will be so frustrated about is I just don't think he needed to. And he must have been so confident he wasn't offside to have done that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so turning point, and then we go up obviously the other end. I think it was from a corner.
It was what it was. So the corner came in, the ball sort of got played back out to the wing.
Yeah, Lloyd Jones got manhandled. Yeah,
he got fouled in the corner, but kept the ball alive.
Yeah.
The little pass into Campbell was
lovely. So, and that's one thing I'd really like to. So for all the criticism, I'll say Coventry looked like he had lead boots in the first half, just booting it in the worst directions going. But that pass and the intelligence,
really nice.
I watched it back since the game. I've watched it about 2 or 3 times. There is I reckon 9 times out of 10, every player just gets that in the mixer.
Yeah,
and the fact he did just play that. He overhit it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you've got someone lightning on the end of it.
And that's where, obviously, the sub of kind of TC coming on, probably maybe the most controversial bit of that, where especially considering what we'd just seen from the goal before.
Yeah.
In or out?
So, I'm going to say in. I think the whole ball has to be out, and I think to give it as out, it would be bold, because to really confirm that was right over the line is hard to say.
I think you show that to 100 people, like 50-50.
It's one.
Maybe that is why you can't.
Also,
give it.
The only way you can really tell fully is to freeze frame it, and you can't do that in a game. So the VAR.
I felt like we needed the Hawkeye from
the tennis. But regardless of whether it was in or out, he did bloody well to get that cross in without it looking fully out of the pitch, even if it was. And then obviously Miles, absolutely man-mounted in the middle. All he literally had to do again was just thump it home, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that actually made Jones look like a tactical genius, because I think they'd only come on like literally a couple of minutes before that.
And strangely, I thought it made the difference, because I thought the realistic side is I thought Tanto, I didn't think, even with everything all in, I don't think he was having the greatest game, and I don't think he grabbed bull by the horns in regards to that. I thought when TC and I thought Kelman actually had a pretty good game, but when they came on, I thought it was that difference between, we've said, putting the nail in the coffin and getting that third goal, albeit against Ipswich away. I don't think it's quite nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
It's a bloody good kind of distance towards that.
Yeah.
And I thought they both just straight away. I think when Leeburn first came on, the first bit they did was like a flick on out, TC running down. It was just a really nice play, and I'm so happy he got the goal. I was quite critical in the last video.
He definitely listens.
Yeah. Well, Coventry did it earlier on in the season, didn't he? So,
they tune in.
But yeah, no, I just, as I say, I thought everything we touched in that kind of, probably from the first goal through to probably about the 75th minute, and then the game kind of slowed down again.
Yeah.
Everything we touched was just incredible.
And it was like, obviously, the more goals that went in, so once we were 2-0 up, confidence was really up. But even at 2-0, you're not home and hosed, especially against Ipswich. But like you said, one goal changes it again. The third goal, after that, we were, like you said, we were sort of tails up completely. But still working so hard, though, as well.
I think we worked really hard, but also what we did, and something that just I've been calling on a little bit more, is when we go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and I think between 2 and 3-0 especially, we've had such a habit of dropping deep and really just inviting pressure on.
We didn't do that.
And I think Ipswich have to take some blame for that, because they were, from a team who in the first half looked so composed, and in that midfield up to the final third, so able, they were so rocked.
They were. And also, I think, like, even for the goals, like, the headers and stuff, like, it was very easy for our players to get those. And I know, like, obviously Gillespie's came from like a sort of ball deflected back to him, and obviously straight into the goal, but Leeburn, it was very easy for him to, once the ball came across.
I just think they were all over the place.
They were.
And that was in every aspect. Defensively, they were making mistakes. They weren't like,
they were giving the ball away a lot, weren't they?
Simple passes. And what I will say as well, I think we had that energy in the game. They had lost all their energy. They were in a really kind of bad place.
Yeah.
And we took full advantage of that. And I think the mixture of that, because I think if we hadn't have carried on pressing the way we did in the energy, and we looked more energetic in the 70th minute than we probably did the 20, like the
Yeah, in the first half.
yeah, in the first
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
It was almost, it just kept getting more and more. And I think one thing as well, just to say how impressive that is, those players would have been so knackered after that first half. The amount of running they would have done chasing the ball.
Especially in that middle of that park,
Yeah.
and at the back actually as well, because they were coming onto us strong. So our wing backs, the centre backs, and the centre mids were having to work really bloody hard to get to
And
it.
it's a rarity to get that second wind of energy.
Yeah,
is very, very difficult to do.
It's a mark of a Nathan Jones side though, because he prides himself on his teams being ultra fit to be able to press throughout the whole game. That really is the bulk of the reason why we were able to sort of push on in that second half.
I think one of my favourite parts of the game that summed it up, and I can't remember if it was at 2-0, I'm pretty sure it was at 3-0, was the ball came in, George Hurst took the touch, and Kane Ramsey's covering slide tackle.
Yeah, there was some amazing
That,
blocks.
to me, just summed up the whole game and everything about, but also some of the blocks. I think Lloyd Jones had one where he blocked it and they were claiming handball.
Yeah.
It was just body on the line everywhere. They had, I think Nunes had a shot on the edge of the area. There was 3 players, or maybe even 4, who had sprinted up to him. There was almost like nowhere he could put it apart from the stands. It was just...
Yeah,
maybe one of the most complete performances the second half. I would say the best performance I can remember of a long time, and I'd probably put it up there with some of my favourite performances.
To do it to a side like Ipswich as well, who no one would have given us a chance in that game. I know, like, we would have been a massive underdogs.
Or it would have been a smash and grab. That's the only chance they would have given us in the game.
But that's not what it was. At the end of the day, it turned out to be a really comfortable win for us. And I didn't see that coming after watching that first half. So credit to the players. I think every single one of them deserves a massive amount of credit in that game.
Looking forward to the Premier League next year.
Yeah.
Don't get carried away, Tom.
No.
Okay, so let's go into individual performances now then. So we will start with Thomas Kaminski.
Yeah, so Kaminski, he was actually rated as our highest player in the end. That's probably down to the amount of sort of shots that he had coming at him.
I think he made a lot of saves, but the stats in the game were
misleading.
They were unbelievable. It was 30 shots, 5 on target.
Yeah.
30 shots is mad. But also in a game where I don't know how everyone else feels, but a game where I don't feel our goal was threatened as clear-cut chances that many times. Maybe in the first half a little bit more, but even there, I felt there was only a couple of real clear-cut chances.
The only one really was Akpom's strike against the crossbar, which was down the middle of the goal anyway. And I think the only other ones I can think of were like sort of from range. They weren't anything that was like massively like, oh, what a great save. One thing I will say is his distribution was questionable.
First half, he
was a bit shaky, wasn't he? Yeah, he had one where he played it low out into the middle of the park, and their centre mid picked it up, and we were like right on the back.
And we were like quite heavily outnumbered. Really could have come back. Could have gone badly, and I think it very nearly did.
Nearly did. I think. Still though, didn't concede a goal. Nothing silly in there. And ultimately, another clean sheet, and I think we're right up there in the league in terms of the amount of clean sheets we've got. We're one of the top teams in that regard.
Yep.
So I can't complain.
No, and I thought he claimed the ball, held the ball quite well towards especially the end of the game. So I thought a pretty good performance, albeit but are we going to look at a lot of players and probably have a first half review and a second half review? Because I think 90% of the team, away from probably the defence, is going to be that.
One thing I do actually remember Kaminski had was their player sort of in the first half got in quite close to the goal. I think it was down at his near post, and he managed to get down to it quite quickly and get to the ball. So he had a few moments where he did make some quite quality saves actually.
I thought overall good performances, just as you say, maybe the distribution, but I think that was just everything towards
that first half was just
that first half and towards when the goal went in. Realistically, we were just shaky across the pitch, and everything we were doing was like that. So, so now let's move into
the whole back line.
The whole back line. Just pretty sensational, to be honest. So I think let's start off at the centre backs. Let's go first with the one who's come back into the starting lineup, Kane Ramsey.
Yeah, so Ramsey, he just came back in as if he'd never been out of the side, to be fair.
Mm.
He just gave us what we always expect from him. So good defensively. Body on the line, as you said. He had that amazing block right near the end
Mm.
from Jack Clark's strike. Just worked his socks off, as he always does. Catches up with players if they get in behind. His pace is unbelievable. I forgot as well, he had that one where their striker, I can't remember his name, the boy who came on in the second half up top, got in behind Hurst. Got in behind us, and he came in with a clattering tackle right as he was about to pull the trigger. Took the ball and the man, and then obviously we managed to gobble the ball up. So just what we expect to see from him, but to do it against a team like Ipswich, where he's come up against some really good players.
Yeah, and I felt probably the perfect game for him to come back into, because I thought they did have quite a few, especially with Akpom kind of sitting in there. And I thought something that all three centre-backs did incredibly well was pushing up tight to that, because Akpom was kind of just playing behind the striker. And I thought he was where it seemed like the danger of kind of turning a man and running in. And I thought just handled everything so well. And that press we had up on kind of causing problems is what in the first half, when they were quite on top of the game, was, in my opinion, what kind of meant we were doing so well in preventing them kind of breaking down and breaking through the line.
Yeah.
But Ramsey, I thought perfect game for him to come back into.
Yeah, we thought he would come back in, to be fair, didn't we? Because Burke's been in the side for a little while, and to give him a rest. But he's definitely sort of said, right, I'm back now, boys, sort of thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. So move on to the Lloyd Jones Appreciation Club.
Week in, week out, we just say the same things, don't we? Man Mountain just wins
every header.
Bullies players.
Yeah.
Literally.
But doing it, and I thought the one thing I thought looking at Ipswich today was on paper, and I think on a technical side, probably more so even than Leicester. I think that first half was the toughest technical side we'd played.
Yeah.
And like everything, that's then another step up. And he just made it look so easy again. And he was winning everything. His positioning was brilliant. His pushing up on players was brilliant. And I just thought, I know we're having the same conversation every week, but I do think this week, once again, it was another test that he's just stepped up to and quickly becoming. I mean, there must be, as I say, other teams that look at him and think, yeah, they're
getting a bit worried now, because when we were in League One, obviously he had an amazing year last season, but now he's in the Championship. There's going to be more eyes on him because he's starting to really put in these performances that are properly dominating teams. So let's hope he doesn't get poached.
No. And I like the fact he signed his contract, age-wise, quite good. You hope he's quite settled at the club. He's clearly very happy there.
He obviously loves
it. I kind of think, I hope, I'm not going to say anything I regret here, but I hope he wouldn't. And I think we've got such...
We're building as well, to be fair, and he is a massive part of that team. I think Jones is building a real spine in that team now. He's a crucial part in that, so hopefully,
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the final one of the centre-backs to kind of move on to, and probably the one I was most impressed with, Maka.
Yeah, Gillespie, we spoke how he can be a little bit shaky sometimes at the back. Did not show an ounce of that in this game.
I thought he was probably the most defensively impressive of the three centre-backs.
Really.
And I just thought he was playing the game so well. His passing, normally that's where we're saying maybe his pushing forward, his passing cross-field is his strength, and I didn't think it was in this game. I thought it was just immense defensively. I thought he read the game amazingly well. I thought he knew when to play kind of the whole back line as well. One real positive, and I think Leicester is a big part of this as well. They never panicked.
No,
they never panicked. And when the ball was being played around the back, the Ipswich team were playing a pretty impressive press.
Yeah.
And we were passing through it. And that's not something we normally panic and lump it. And first half, we panicked, lumped it. We did everything wrong.
Yeah.
But especially, as I say, as it went on through the game, we got the composure.
Playing some lovely little passes between them and then breaking the lines, what you said. So it was, But he is obviously, he got his goal as well, which was... He had the chance in the first half, and then obviously the one that he put away in the second. But again, he's that sort of player that does get in the box, and he's good at finishing. He scored surprising amount of goals for us in his career at Charlton.
Well, how many games are we talking about a centre-back who is either involved in maybe should have scored or close to scoring or has scored?
It happens regularly.
It's
Yeah.
something that we're becoming very good at. And I think, as I say, we've maybe highlighted the fact of your Breeze, etc. Maybe we're starting to play into that a little bit more. But also, it's just something we have got players in those positions that are very strong at that. But I think the most impressive is we've got goals there, but we've also got to say that's solid defensively. And I just thought as a unit, Gillespie, Jones, Ramsey, as I say, the way they interchange, the way they play, the way that when one presses out, the other one covers, I just thought it was just a masterclass.
Yeah, Nathan Jones will be so delighted with the way they defended that game, and every Charlton fan can be so proud of it because
I can imagine there's Nathan Jones. That's probably like his blueprint of like his perfect game.
I genuinely think he will be like.
He'd probably prefer that to like a really ultra attacking, like 4-3 win in the last minute. That's
his sort of win.
That's his sort of win, and it's everything as well. He bangs on about in regards to the defensive solidity, but also then the fluidity that came in.
Yeah.
It's pretty much everything he preaches about what he wants us to become. Was that in that game?
We were the best version of ourselves.
It's what he always wants. It's what he always wants. Yeah. So yeah, now let's move on to the wing backs then. So. Start with Bree.
Yeah, I mean Bree again. He gave us what we expect from him. Quality deliveries again, like putting that cross in for Gillespie's chance in the first half. Just working really hard. I thought he's better defensively tonight as well. I think he was.
I don't think he was.
You don't?
No. See, so that's where I'm going to go on to. But what I noticed in this game, so I don't think when he's defending, when he's running 1-on-1, I feel a bit worried. I don't know. And I think sometimes I think when he's in the defensive unit, when he's doing that side of it, I think he looks like a pretty average player to me. Yeah. I think his strengths come in the attacking. What I did notice in that game is Ramsey back in his natural kind of right-sided centre-back role. He could cover Bree, and I think what I saw there is actually he doesn't need to maybe be as good defensively in that system. I felt less.
Maybe what I was seeing was maybe not in terms of like actual defensive tackling and stuff like that, but it's him just putting a shift in. I do think he ran hard. They all had to be fair, because of the way that the Ipswich were coming onto us in that first half. I think everyone had to put a shift in. And I think that probably would have been...
One thing I noticed with Bree, and I suppose it's a lot of players maybe at this level, but is he runs either at looking pretty terrible, or he's putting in like the cross of the week, looking sensational, and he seems to just flow between those two styles. And I think overall we have to look at it and say he has been incredible, and the amount of goal contributions he's had towards the squad and what he's actually transformed, kind of a lot of what we were maybe struggling. I think he takes quite a big credit for some of the goals we were struggling at the beginning of the season and in creation of chances. He takes quite a lot of credit. But yeah, I think he runs quite.
I know what you mean, but do you not think like every time we get a corner now, I'm like excited because I'm like, oh, there's going to be a quality delivery here. So every time we get a cross or a corner, I'm like, yeah, we've got a good opportunity here to get a goal.
I think it's probably quite a good one to also be able to talk about this. And I know we touched on it briefly in the last, but are you starting with Bree to feel a little bit worried for Apter? Because I'm really struggling to see how Bree gets dropped from the squad, and I don't think he does. Now, I know there's injuries, and I know there's the fact we've only got Bree till January. But at the moment, I am starting to get a little bit concerned about where Apter drops into the lineup, because they're not even bringing him on as a sub.
But we talked about this a few weeks ago. Injuries are going to happen during this season, and I'm hoping that Bree will be in the side for a good run of games. But you don't know. Like, he could pick up an injury, all of a sudden Apter comes in. So Apter's there, but also Apter's a young player coming up. He was sort of picked as a transfer as a sort of up and coming prospect, so he's not going to be too worried about sitting on the bench because he's come to a higher level of football, and he'll probably be happy to sort of wait to get his chance. And he was slightly surprised to sort of get his initial run in the side anyway at that sort of straight away. So actually he probably will be content in sitting on the bench, especially as a club we're flying high at the moment. If he gets a few cameos here and there or gets the odd start, I don't think he's the sort of player that's going to be kicking off about it because he's not really got the right to. Like, he's sort of a young player, and he will get his chances. But Bree can't be dropped on him. He's playing so well.
And as you say, it's just the fact whenever we get a free kick now, I get excited, and we've also struggled with that over probably the last years because I don't feel like we've gone through times where we did have quite good set plays, but I feel over recent years
it's not been for a while.
It's been great,
Yeah,
and it's always been quite a frustrating part of our game because I think we are so strong on kind of centre backs winning headers or those. I think we've always felt set pieces as something we really could do good.
Yeah.
And we've really struggled with. And I think the only other occasion I can really think is when maybe Gilbert came in last year towards the beginning of when he came in.
Yeah, and then you sort of go back a bit further. We had like the players like Goodmanson who used to have a really good whip. He was a very, very class player. And even like Ricky Holmes used to be pretty good, didn't he, with whipping the ball in and stuff like that. So it's been a while, but now it's lovely to have a player with such quality getting the ball in the box. So yeah,
no, definitely.
Yeah.
And to move on to the final of the back line, and probably I think the one just made me smile today because I thought he was absolutely sensational, was Amari Bell.
Yeah, we said last week like we really love watching him play, and it was the same again this week. Like, he is so composed. That's what I love about him. I think his composure on the ball.
But the run he made, I think it was the first time,
like burst through, didn't he?
And he just kept going and going and going.
I was like, is he going to shoot? Because he was getting to the edge of the box. He tried to play a little through ball to Kelman. It was a bit overhit and it was a bit frustrating. But
fully just knackered after that run at his age.
He just kept running down the wing, just cut inside a little bit and just was going towards the goal. And I was thinking, he's going to lever this. But he's got that to his game in terms of pace and bursting out and actually creating a counter. But he's also really good defensively. He's deceptively good in the air. But not only that, he's clever the way he defends because he knows he's got a bit of pace. And I think it's a little bit similar to Ramsey, who knows he can kind of recover a little bit. But that they get the tackles in, they're hard-hitting tackles, everything about him.
And I think the difference between him and... I think Ramsey's quick but maybe slightly smaller stature.
Yeah.
What I noticed, he's athletic. There's something about him that just, and as I say, that the more so, and today's game probably the most, but we've talked about it week on week of how worried we were Josh Edwards coming out of the squad. Amari Bell, if he was our starting left back, I'd feel pretty happy.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's a conversation. I love Josh Edwards, I really do, and I also think Amari Bell sitting in that centre back role with Ramsey and Jones is our strongest lineup that we can offer.
Yeah.
But knowing that isn't a concern now is lovely because now I do feel like we have full depth across the whole squad.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, he put a bloody good performance in tonight, as did all the back line. I think you can't fault any of them today. They're all brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, incredible. And I say, I think you've struggled to probably have a better performance than that this season. Because as I say, I think it was pretty flawless. I really can't think of many mistakes. And that is both sides of the game of a defensive unit while getting pressured, but also a defensive unit while on top.
Yeah.
And the while on top can arguably be the most dangerous because that's when you get a bit too confident, you feel a bit too, you lose a bit of concentration. They were as good in the first half as they were second half when we were 3-0 up.
Yeah.
And they were still putting bodies on the line in the same way. And I just thought,
unreal.
Yeah, unreal. So, centre of the park then. So, Doherty.
Yeah, I think Doherty and Coventry had a tough sort of task today because they knew they'd be running heavily in that game.
They had some horrible players up against.
And you know that Ipswich are going to play the ball into the space. You're constantly trying to get in front of the ball because again, what Ipswich do very well is they've got players who will like to run with the ball quick as well at you. But then what they'll do is they'll cut back in from the wings and then sort of look for those little positions in the middle of that park. And that's really where then Coventry and Doherty are given the job to sort of try and hunt those men down.
Man, it's also difficult when you've got players like Nunez there as well.
Yeah,
who
always looking to shoot, isn't
he? He's either looking to shoot, so you're like, the problem with someone like Nunez, which I think is where he becomes quite a dangerous player as well, he's got a hell of a shot of him, but he's also got a very good pass on him and he's very creative. So the problem is, do you really high press him and then he might cut a pass through and they're then running at your back line, or you hold off and he's got an absolute rocket of a shot. He's a very tough player. I was also quite impressed with the other boy next to him. I have no idea how to pronounce the name, but he was a physical.
Yeah. They everywhere across the board they've got quality, but but what you can always guarantee with Doherty is that he will run his socks off, which again he did. Put his body on the line, tackles, the sort of dirty part of the game where he's pulling
He
shirts.
was very lucky at one point not to
Yeah.
get a yellow, and he was very soon after. But you
He
could tell the
breaks the play though.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
we
yeah,
needed.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we needed
Yeah.
in that game, because they have players that if they do break that line, you're in trouble.
He's a very, very intelligent midfielder when it comes to that, and I think he's also the experience of having been at this level before as well. He knows just how to play the game, and also I think help the team through that. And that's what I probably saw today. Is I think there were
Yeah.
moments where, as I say, we could have so easily at different points, whether it was 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, maybe less so, but let that game go away from us.
Yeah.
And we didn't. We just played it with the most professional. Just
It was like belief. There was belief in the team that if we just do what we do well, then we could go on and get a goal in this game. And like I said, once we got 1, 2, 3, obviously that was it. But yeah,
And on that, and I think this probably comes into both Doherty and Coventry. Do you think? Because I don't think I can remember even in probably our lifetimes of being a fan of such a together squad.
yeah.
The only one I can think of is the Bow years, and I even think in that there wasn't quite this level, like the togetherness of
If we're talking like modern era Charlton, yeah, like the League One's
like since
Championship
Prem
days,
days.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
since coming down from the Prem, I can't ever think of a time where I've seen 11 players out there who are all willing to run for the man next to them, and they're literally willing to.
I'd go along with that, and I'd also say that a lot of that comes down to Nathan Jones. I think they play for him. He sells that ethos of we play for the shirt, we put everything on the line, and then from that is where we get results, and like we got today, because ultimately that is the way that he sets his team up, is to just run and run and run, to give their all, and then who knows what's going to happen. And like Jones said before the game, we've earned our right to play the likes of Ipswich now, but not only that, we've earned the right to get a result because we are good enough. We've got the quality in our team, and it's on the day, are we the team that are going to be the one that's the most up for it? And today it looked like we were.
Yeah, and I think very few games, and that's why it's so surprising when we maybe do drop off for the odd game, which is always going to happen. It's always going to happen where something doesn't click, but it's so surprising because pretty much every game, even when we lose, draw, or win, the one thing I'll always say is that we put everything into it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's what's maybe brought such a good feel around the club now.
It's
Because
like a pride as well.
I'm so proud. Like I cannot say, no matter what the performance was today, like if we had gone away from today and lost 2-1 but played that way, I walk away going, yeah, I'm bloody proud of the boys.
Yeah.
Frustrated, maybe we could have done this better. But I think every podcast, and we've obviously we've started this year, but every episode we've had, the one thing I can pretty much overridingly say is I have been pretty proud. I think there's, as I say, because I know they put everything into it, and it makes me proud to be a Charlton fan again. And I think for all the years we've been through, all the crap of the owners and the just tough times of feeling like we're never going to get it, I feel like at the moment, as I say, no matter what the results are, we've got a club we can be proud of again.
And I think that's why we owe Nathan Jones a hell of a lot, because he has, from the day that he walked in through the door, that is what he's instilled in the club, and every fan can see that, and it's bloody exciting times actually.
Yeah, no, definitely. So a little interlude there, but we'll move on to Coventry then.
Yeah, similar tone to Doherty in regards to the work rate. He just had to run his socks off again. Just the closing down, the dark arts in terms of pulling players back, putting your foot in when you need to, covering men, and just sprinting around the pitch. That's what he's good at. You mentioned like in the first half he had a few like sort of mares with passes he was trying to thread through, but that's could be said of the whole team in that first half. We, like you said, it was almost a hot potato. We were trying to get rid of the ball.
Every time we got the ball, we looked like we were scared, like it was some foreign object, because it was just I've never seen. I say it was every opportunity. It was like, let's give it back to. It felt like a training game, you know, when it's like give it back to the attack, and now we're going to defend.
Let's go again, boys. Yeah, but no, I mean he gives you what he gives you, which is absolute work rate engine. And he had a tough task, like the same as Doherty in the middle of the park. That's probably one of the toughest teams you're going to come up against in terms of players that can play through the middle. Ipswich are going to be right up there in that.
Also, as well, and I think this probably goes to the whole team. They're two centre mids, and I think especially for these two who had to work bloody hard on Saturday as well.
Yeah,
and we've gone then Saturday to the away day, and then we've got another away day Saturday. Like there is also a fatigue side of things, and as I say, to me, Coventry did nothing wrong in the first half that no one else did. But as I say, the whole game gave it his all. was involved in some really quite key moments.
We
And
spoke,
once
we spoke about that moment for when he played through Campbell and that for the goal, for the Leeburn goal. So even then, he was. I mean, once we managed to grow into the game, he was able to be a bit more creative, play those little threaded balls.
And once again, those little passages of passing a play, really quick, zippy passing in triangles and stuff. He was a big part of that as well. And it's to say, it's not statistically what you're gonna be looking at on the stats, but the realistic side is it was something that was really impressive. I think that goes into today, probably pretty much everyone from the defence into the midfield. I think we were doing it so well across the pitch, and second half especially, he was jumping in on that as well. So
yeah.
So let's move on to Sonny Carey.
Yeah, like again, it's like the broken record. We said that he's becoming a fan favourite, but more and more, it's just he brings that element to us that we were so sort of lacking for so many years. And how nice is it just every time we see him like burst towards the box, we're like, he could score it.
You know, his form he's run from, I think, the second half of last year into now is like quite frightening. Like the fact he's picked that up in and he's picking it up in the Championship and doing it against, like, as I say, these are last season Premier League players he's running up against, and he's still doing that.
And
like,
he's come up from Blackpool, who are they're not exactly like the world's best side. And let's
sorry, Blackpool fans,
the Tangerines. But what I will say is, he is playing with such confidence. Like, you have to have that ability, obviously, to be able to score from where he does, because he scores from some really sort of not easy angles.
Well, you think when you look at some of his recent goals, he's got the Millwall one, which I know he didn't strike cleanly, but it wasn't an easy goal. You had the one at the weekend where, as I say, we discussed about the drive and the want to get there, and the fact he was off balance. And the one today was just the icing on top, because for me, as I say, there was so much more technique to that than first showed to the eye, because it was, as I say, the waiting game of playing that defender and then choosing the exact right time and the composure. Something that Tanto didn't have in that first half in that moment, and something that we've been quite critical of in moments of not taking our chances when we are.
And I think with Carey as well, if you want anyone at the moment to get played through or to have a bit of space to get a shot away, it's him. Like, the confidence, the ability he's got, and just, he's so, like we said as well, he's so likable. Like, it just seems like such a cool guy. But yeah, he's playing out of his skin. And yeah, I've not got too much more to say really.
No.
Hopefully, he just keeps doing it.
Just carry on doing what you're doing, because it's bringing me a hell of a lot of joy, and I think it is for most Charlton fans. So, so let's move on to then Tanto.
Yeah, I think obviously he had his big chance in the first half. The first half was a tough half for a player that was a bit further up the pitch, because we didn't have much of the ball at all. And I think one thing I will say is, although his finish for the chance that he had was not the best, to actually engineer the chance was what he's in the team for. He's that strength, muscle his man off the ball, and he's got the pace to then burst into that area. So I would say, on balance, like you said, maybe he didn't snatch the chance with two hands, but it's a tough game to come into in that position to really flourish.
Yeah. So, I think that the difficulty I probably had with it is I do agree, and I think it was a game where, say, very few touches. You didn't really have a chance to strike it to get into the game, so when you did get the ball, you were instantly in, as I say, quite high pressure. They were pressing very well as well. I think the only thing, and I don't know if it will be a frustration to him or not, and maybe it is just part of the game he was in, he's got that battle with TC for that position, and this was his opportunity.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, with the way the performance, and we'll go on to it, obviously, with TC when he came on, to me, it's not done him any favours of maybe next game being the one who starts. And I don't know if that's maybe a little bit critical, but I did feel that, as I say, I don't know, he didn't quite have the impact. And I thought, actually, do you know, that first half, I missed TC.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that I don't know it would have mattered how well Tanto played. I think TC is still our number one in terms of that position at the moment. So I kind of feel like the rotation was more a fitness thing, that TC looked a little bit leggy.
But I thought it'd be less of a noticeable impact. And I think maybe something that, let's say, not every fan is necessarily going to agree, but I thought TC missing was noticeable, and I don't think I necessarily thought it was going to be as noticeable as it was.
Yeah,
and I know it's a very difficult game, but I felt in that game TC was the kind of player, because he can create something out of nothing. He may have had the exact same game, pretty terrible. We know he drops quite hot and cold. I just didn't feel maybe the threat was there when we maybe had those chances. Because, I say, Tanto is still physical, pacey, but he plays a very
More direct.
direct kind of run in a straight line, whereas TC's a little bit more free-flowing, kind of floating across the pitch.
That's definitely fair. I think for what Tanto had available to him to actually display what he can do, I think he did pretty well. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's much more he could have done in the circumstances.
Be nice to see him starting in a game where maybe it is a little
got a
less
bit
of
more
that, and we got a bit more
of the
control of the
ball.
game. But so let's move on to the final one of the starting lineup then. So score a bloody goal, Charlie Kelman, because it's so frustrating because I'm so happy with how it's going with him. And I was just, once again, I was so happy with it. And I thought just after the first goal went in, he had that one where he just pulled it across and he got a hell of a strike away.
He's got a good strike on him as well. That's the thing.
Do you know, he's making me smile. I mean, as I say, I'm enjoying watching him.
Same.
I just really want him to score a goal because I feel like, one, he needs that. I don't believe there's many Charlton fans who are unhappy with him, and maybe I'm wrong if that is the case, but I do think he does need that goal just to get a few of those people off his back. I'd quite like to just chuck a middle finger up to some fans out there as well who are criticising it. But I'm so happy with what he's bringing to the game. And
we speak about it week in, week out, but then what he does bring is the pace, getting in behind, all the things we've already previously spoken through. But now he's getting those confidence sort of bits where he can cut in like he did today and get a shot away. And actually, he was quite unlucky. The keeper made a solid save, and probably it wasn't really a sort of position where he was going to score from, but he's still looking to get the shot away. He's getting more confident. You can see that in his game, but the build-up play that he brings, the work rate, he runs hard, and he's got quality. He has got quality, and even like we said, if he's not having shots, then he's got his head up and looking to play balls through. I'm really pleased with how he's playing. Just please get the goal.
Yeah, I'm just so desperate for it because and I really thought that might be the chance today. Not that it was a chance that he should have been putting away, because I thought he actually played it really well and he caught it so beautifully. But I think it's coming. I really do, and I'm actually really happy with him as a signing. And as I say, just please get the goal. So let's move on then. So that's starting lineup done. Sub wise, to be honest, there's probably only real two of note to really talk about. I think the last three we'll move through pretty quickly, but in the 62nd minute, we'd just scored the goal, and Leeburn and Campbell came on. So let's start Leeburn.
I think Leeburn, it was guaranteed he was going to have a great performance after your assessment of him last week.
I have egg on my face.
I would say he really brought everything that the reason he is there as an option to bring off the bench or to even start. The physicality, the strength, the flick-ons. He looked so up for it as well, didn't he, when he came on? Yeah,
and I think it's something that's to say. My main criticism, don't get me wrong, this doesn't change everything I feel towards him, but what I saw from him, and we've had conversations about this about some performances with TC where I've been critical of him, and then the next game, this is the Miles Leeburn you want to see. I felt every trait that he has that makes him such a dangerous player, he was completely on point. And in a game where I think it was so important, because the realistic side is he comes on at 2-0 where the game is kind of teetering between. I do think he changed it, and I think those two strikers that we had on before were looking to tire a little bit. It was a very hard running game, and they made the difference. And as I say, I'll eat my words towards it, because, as I say, if we can see that Miles Leeburn more often, and that is what I want, and that's where maybe my frustration comes of last week, because I think there is such a hell of a player there. And what we saw today was the brilliant side.
Well, so what else did we say? We said he needs to start producing, and he's got his goal. So that's his first championship goal for us.
Be concerned if he missed it.
No, I would too. But you should be in the position.
Yeah.
And he outmuscled all the players that he had around him. And he obviously put it away nicely. But those are the moments in the games where we create those chances where he's perfect to be on the end of them.
When even away from that, after that, he then pushed through and had a one-on-one at one point, which, to be fair, he caught the shot quite nicely, took it quite early, but he was just causing problems. He was doing what a Miles Leeburn has come on to do.
And perfect at 2-0 up, because, like you said, it gives us something different, gives their defenders something different to come up against, and ultimately it was a real handful for them, and he ended up scoring his goal. So, yeah, really good, really good impact from him.
Yeah, and I think pretty integral to actually that result
Yeah,
ending the way it did,
yeah.
which we haven't always said about with subs recently. So the other one that I'd say was pretty critical, TC.
Yeah, again, like we've been critical of him in certain games of sort of not really having much of an impact. Today, it was a prime example of how impactful he can be. The willingness to get on the end of that pass from Coventry to keep the ball in, he kept the ball in, to keep the ball in, but also to chip it across to literally on a plate for a Leeburn as well. So it was,
But also to ask the question of whether it is in or not,
yeah,
he has to have that electric pace, and
yeah,
and
of
that
course.
causes so many problems. And I think there was also, away from that, I think it was after that, he had one of his moments where he is at his absolute best, running at a player, taking him on, putting a shot across goal. When he is on form,
He's so good.
he's so
Yeah,
good,
he
and he
is.
looks like such a good player. And I think the one thing with him, as I say, if we can just see that on a slightly more consistent basis, and it's not saying we need it week in, week out,
No.
because very few wingers, and if you are doing that week in, week out, you're playing in the Prem.
Yeah,
Because I
it's
think
true.
the biggest thing with most wingers is there are some very good quality wingers across League One, League Two, Championship, Prem. The main thing that normally is being able to do it on a consistent
weekly
basis.
yeah.
And if he can, as I say, bring that game in more frequently, he is such a good player when he's on it.
I don't think there's too many better wingers out there that are like when they front their man up, and he's so tricky, so quick. Yeah, he brings that element of the game which we didn't have before he came on, because we didn't have that element in there.
Yeah, and
So again, it gave their defenders, didn't it,
Mm.
something else to have to worry about. And that was two elements, because you had Leeburn with the height and the strength, and then you had TC with the quick feet and pace. So, and that's what ultimately ended up getting us that third goal.
Yeah.
Which probably shook their defence, because they're like, oh, you know, I've got that now. I've got to deal with these boys.
I think, and it was at that point at 2-0, they know one goal in the next 10, 15 minutes, we can then go all out on them, and it will be very tough for them. I think at 3-0, their heads just went, and it was, as I say, it was so important.
That was the nail in the coffin, wasn't it? Once we went 3,
Well, that's when they looked like they were kind of 6-7, so they were just all over the shot.
it was desperation time on it then.
Yeah. So normally we will talk through the other subs, but in all honesty, it was Burke coming on, it was Rankin Costello, and it was Nibs. I'm not even going to put the stats up on the screen, because there was we played the game so well at that point. The game was kind of dead because I think Ipswich weren't really.
One thing I did want to note, though, I noticed that he took Doherty and Coventry off right at the end. I honestly think he did, and Jones did that to just allow the fans to give them sort of that moment to clap them off.
Appreciation.
Yeah, because of how crucial they were in that game and how hard they worked, and I like that. It was quite a nice touch, actually.
And one other thing I'm going to say is we might not review the last 3 subs, but the one thing I will review is the Charlton fans, because the noise that was coming out of my screen with the Charlton fans, I mean, quality, the support, and what that must do for the players.
Yeah, and they're backed every week, like home and away. Our support has got better and better. The away support for Charlton has always been great. We've been to a few of the away games, and it's always really great. But now we're in the Championship. It's like we're going in big numbers. We're there knowing the team are going to put in the performances. And to also, those fans will have gone there with the hope that we got something, but they would never have dreamt of a 3-0 win at Portman Road. And so how nice is it for those fans that have travelled all that way to just go home knowing that that we've been able to put in that performance. Unreal. They must have had such
That's an amazing day. And as I say, I can just imagine the atmosphere there. They'll be singing for quite a few hours, and it'll be some sore heads in the morning. So, so that kind of covers over the game. And say, what a game! It will be one that I'll be smiling about, thinking about all day tomorrow. I'll be probably on YouTube watching the highlights over and over and over, and just a brilliant one. So, we'll quickly just have a quick chat about obviously the upcoming game away to Hull on Saturday. Not one I want to go into too much.
Although horribly, I did see they beat Leicester tonight.
Yeah.
So, and they were on a really good run. I thought they were on the same amount of points as us. They're slightly below us on goal difference.
Well, another a team actually that was in a lot of people's predictions down
the bottom.
Quite a troubled team, one that might struggle. So.
I also noticed they got Liam Miller, who used to play for us on loan. Gail Hart, they've got McBurney. There's a few players on form, so it's good.
I think a lot of their problems last year as well, where a lot of people maybe saw the negatives, was they had some really, really bad injuries, and I think a lot of those players are back as well. So I think Liam Miller was actually one of those. So, but one thing, look, no matter what with it, and I think the Ipswich game has just confirmed it so much to me, is let's go again.
Yeah.
And as I say, if we can put in the performance, it's something we can be proud of. Hopefully, we can get something out of it. I think when you look at our recent results, I'd be happy if it's anything really. A draw would be brilliant. Or, as I say, if we
Also,
can go and really get some momentum.
the way I see it as well is like we didn't really expect anything from today, so we've bagged that 3 points. So now it's almost like whatever we get now is a bonus. But we have to go into every game with the biggest amount of confidence. We've outplayed some massively sort of bigger budget teams that we've got, and it just shows that actually if you've got that desire in the team, that goes a long way. And I think we're showing that week in, week out at the moment.
No, definitely.
And I also would like to see the league table.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Great little segue. So, shall we bring the league table up on the screen? And yes, you are right in seeing Charlton in the playoffs.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we joked about being in the playoffs last week, but we're actually in them now. So, and I think the gap has opened up even more from the relegation zone.
Yep.
And it feels a bit mad that we're talking about the relegation zone now because of how well we've started. That's starting to feel quite far away, isn't it? But obviously a long way to go still. And
it's an awful long way. But look, what we have done, as I say, is if we now look at the point at which we are, it's just, as I say, I don't think in my wildest dreams I could imagine this is where a conversation at this point of the season we'd be talking. And as I say, that also on top of, we've had some pretty bloody unlucky results that I think have gone against us. And I don't think many of the results we've got have actually been lucky for us. I think we've deserved most of our points we've got, and I think we've actually been quite unlucky in others. So actually, the position we're in, arguably, is on the kind of softer side of where actually we maybe should be, which is so impressive. As I say, just long may it continue, because Charlton are bringing me a lot of joy, and they've, I mean, as I say, they've caused me a lot of stress over the years. A lot of hair.
It's about time we had some good.
Caused me a little bit of hair loss.
But yeah, it is about time we finally sort of can really sort of get behind a team that we really buy into, a manager that is clearly loving what he's doing at the club. Like you said, just every week we look forward to the games rather than dread them. So, yeah,
nice feeling. Well, let's leave it there then on this one. So so we'll be back on next Monday, following up from the game against Hull. Hopefully it'll be another one where we are celebrating even more points on the board. And we'll see you on the next one.